Senator Rosenberg stepped down.
I think he needs to seriously consider whether he can continue or could come back and continue to lead the Senate. I think it would be very, very difficult for him to do so.
Should he lead the Senate itself?
Well, I've always thought that whether someone remains in the Senate is really a question for the people that sent them here to begin with. But I would say that it would be premature for me to comment on any developments of that nature, any actions of that nature, because I want to remind everybody that I am a member of the Ethics Committee, and I take that responsibility very seriously. And I would not want to say or do anything that would either breach that responsibility or compromise the operations of the Ethics Committee, because the members of that committee, including me, also take its work very seriously.
Doesn't suggesting that he shouldn't serve as Senate President exactly compromise the purpose of this investigation, which is to see if he did nothing wrong? If he did nothing wrong, that's due process. He should not have to step down as Senate President.
Well, that would rely on the investigation being completed, and there are a lot of folks that don't seem willing to wait for that before asking questions. The investigation is ongoing. It is active. The things that have been reported in the Globe are included within the scope of the investigation. So I agree with you, and that's why I am merely suggesting that it would be very difficult for him to return and to lead the Senate. I am not going to speculate about anything else, except to say that the investigation is active, it is ongoing, and I think all of us are hoping that it will come to its conclusion as quickly as possible, but also that it be as comprehensive as possible, because we know about certainly one issue that's been raised in the newspaper. I think it's important that we look at all of the issues that might be out there.
How distracting has this been?
Today? Or is the Ethics Committee meeting today?
Well, first of all, the meetings of the Ethics Committee are now subject to the rules of executive session. It's been closed, and my interpretation of the rule is that it's had one meeting that continues to meet, and so it is not within my purview to inform you about when it may or may not meet, but I will say to you, I think it's a fair comment that the Ethics Committee has been meeting regularly.
Senator, at this point, you have drip, 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 sort of, over the last few months, coming out in the Globe. Every other week we hear something new. Why shouldn't he step down as senator right now, if nothing else, to preserve at least the appearance of integrity of the Senate?
Well, it's been a drip, drip, drip in terms of, with all due respect, the newspaper and the media. There is an ongoing investigation being conducted by professional investigators, and you could reasonably discuss the fact that that investigation should be what determines the fate of someone rather than reports that are in the newspaper. I would also say that the investigator is welcoming comment and information from anyone who has relevant information. And I would hope if the people that are reporting those stories would like to assist in this process, that they would provide that information to the investigator as soon as possible so that it can be part of his consideration.
What role will Republicans play in choosing the next Senate President?
Well, the Republicans, I think, will always play a role because the election of a Senate President is done by a majority vote of the body. And I think it's appropriate to remind you all that I will be a candidate for Senate President, as I have been on the last number of occasions that that's occurred. I think it's also important to tell you that I have been requested by my caucus to pursue the presidency as vigorously as possible. And so I am presuming nothing about the party of the next Senate President. Obviously, we would all speculate that it would be someone from the majority party, but I want to point out that I too am a candidate, and I think that I have a lot to offer, but that may be a discussion for another day.
Could your caucus vote for Democrats?
I think my caucus could vote for anyone. They're certainly free to do so, and I would take nothing off the table with regard to the election of the next Senate President.
Should the election of the next Senate President be put off until the next session so that to create some stability in the Senate right now?
I think there's some merit to that idea, and I suspect it will be being discussed throughout the day as to what the appropriate interim measures are. Again, I want to be careful not to either be speculative or irresponsible, but I think that's certainly a viable idea.